Ruth and I met when my friend took her sister out to Youth for Christ, and he had no vehicle, so I had an old 39 Ford. So he said, "If you take me there," he said, "she has a sister, and I don't think she has a boyfriend."
I looked at him and I thought, "Oh, what a handsome dude," and thought I'll probably never see him again. We had a nice evening, but yeah, I did see him again, and it just came together, and we fell in love, and God had a plan. And of course, then as time went on, God started speaking. God started speaking to our hearts, and I remember feeling life is more than eating and drinking. And I knew that our lives belonged to the Lord. They were not our own. I was just so aware that we were bought with a price, but we had to make the choice: are we willing to follow Jesus and go wherever he wants us to go? And then when we made that commitment, then everything changed. Everything happened. He started directing, started opening doors, and we just knew, and it led us to Dallas, Texas, where we took some missionary training, from there to Brazil, and God led all the way.
When we went to Berean College in Dallas, they taught very strongly that you don't need a special call to be a missionary any more than you need a call to be a businessman. And they had a need. A couple were going to Brazil and wanted somebody to go with them. And so they asked if we would go, and I prayed about it and had no way. The words, I knew what the words said, so I didn't have any excuse.
The early years were very, very difficult. And of course, because what happens is you suddenly find yourself in another country. You can't speak the language, but your heart is burning to share the gospel. And actually you do little actual ministry, but you can build relationships in that time with the people you're with. And so in the difficulty and just getting adjusted and adjusting to the culture was difficult, but it was wonderful at the same time. We got through it, and we stayed there. Yes, we started out in Brazil basically with children, working with children, and running an orphanage.
At one time we had 60 to 70 orphan children, and most of them were boys. And then the first mission station we were working at, we grew soybean. And so that would need hoeing and planting and harvesting, and so there was quite a number of different areas where the boys could learn.
One of the things that struck us was that there were so many poor women. And so we soon invited these women. We said, we can help you, but if you will come to school and learn something, if you can just do that, we'll help you with food so that you can do that. They said that they would come. And so then we started a ministry with the women. And we had about 40 women. For 9 years, we taught literacy, we taught nutrition, we taught them to knit and to sew and to do handcraft. And then we had to cope with the children. So we opened a room, and we sent the older orphan girls and tell them Bible stories while their moms are in class. Somebody said, you got to start a kindergarten. So we prayed about everything, and God sent a couple from YWAM, and they said, oh, we know how to set up a kindergarten. We do it all the time. So we set up an official kindergarten. And eventually then the parents of our children in the kindergarten wanted a school. It's another thing that we didn't really want to do. We had no idea. It was never our idea, but it was like God was saying, do this. And further on, the women that were still studying, they had no decent houses to live in, and they were living in shacks. And we started praying and asking people in our fellowship if they would be willing to sponsor a family so that we could build them a house. And we built simple wood houses for about 22 families. And we didn't have any money to start, but every time we said, we'll build you a house to live in, a decent house with a cement floor and a roof that doesn't leak. Very small. God always sent the money. And further down the road, we got some dental equipment donated. And so, sure enough, God sent a Christian dentist along, and he said, we're going to open a dental clinic in this town.
But everything we tried, we wanted to get the work self-supporting. Everything we tried to get the work self-supporting fell flat. And the things we had no idea or didn't have any education in, the Lord always brought along, and that's what's supporting the work today. So it's only Him.
There were many miracles, but they weren't physical things. They weren't what you could see. In 2000, in fact, the year we came home, we lost our property through corruption. And we were out on the street with nothing. Got together and prayed and asked God to turn this around, to change it, to give us back. This was His property. This was nothing ours. But what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? We had the clinic, we had the classes for the women, we had the school, we had the kids. We needed all this space. And so we just spent the night in prayer with our staff. And the next day, a gentleman came to us and said, I want to help you. What can I do for you? And we said, well, we don't have any place to go. And the following day, some gentlemen from a largest cement factory in South America, I think, and they said, this small cement factory in our town, which was basically shut down because they bought it out, he said, we're going to open it up for you and you can use that space. It was a nice big office building, big windows, and you can use this place free of charge as long as you need it. And that was a miracle. And here were people, who, as far as I know, were just business people. I don't know if they were Christian or not, but God sent them. And that was a miracle. Totally unaware that God was using simple people like us who felt we had very, very little to contribute. What could we offer God? Almost nothing, And yet, God used it. Today we have hundreds and thousands of Brazilians that love us. I mean, we don't have an enemy. People just love us and they embrace us and they thank us over and over and over again. And they look at this school and they look at the church and they say, if you had not come, none of this would have happened. And then we look and we think, oh my goodness, obedience. That's all it was, willingness and obedience. And God can use anybody that way. And I believe with my whole heart that when you love the people as God loves them, whatever you do is done in love, there will be a harvest to reap. And so we thank the Lord that the hard times have a purpose and the good times have a purpose, and it all works together for the glory of God. So